How are we doing? Good. Glad to see you all. Good morning, Fresno State faculty and staff. Thank you, Dr. Hall, for your thoughtful introduction, and thank you, Patricia, for grounding us with your message this morning. We do all need to breathe a little bit once in a while, right? So welcome back. I'm truly grateful for each of you. This coming May, we will celebrate over 6,000 graduating students, a momentous accomplishment that represents a better life for their families and communities, and one that benefits and powers the economy and society of our Central Valley. The value of your collective work is clear, as your compassion, brilliance, and dedication define the very heart of Fresno State. This is why my work at Fresno State represents a lifelong mission for me. I endeavor tirelessly to promote your collective work that makes those 6,000 graduates a reality, so that funding comes our way for proper staff and faculty wages and student success. Now allow me to address my recent message about the Chancellor's Office review of our foundation. This was a proactive review, and as we expected, it did not find any fraud or malfeasance. The review, however, gives us a clear picture of 46 findings we need to improve. We have undertaken that work with care and with urgency. This moment is about strengthening our foundation so we can continue to support our students, our mission, and the future we are building together. And I will say they are all there to be there for Fresno State, and they're all also volunteers for Fresno State as well. So I thank them for their work. Let's move on to the area that impacts us most, the budget. Over the past 2 years, I have reviewed with all of you in transparent detail the various factors that impact the CSU's and Fresno State budgets. I will continue to discuss the state of our budget with you so that we can all advocate, that's going to be the key for this speech today, for the CSU with confidence. Last week, on January 9th, Governor Newsom released his latest proposed state budget. This initial release is only the first step in a months-long negotiation with the legislature. We are still analyzing the full implications for the CSU, and more clarity will emerge in the coming weeks. As a refresher, though, the compact between the CSU and the governor states 5 years of promised growth funding, beginning in fiscal year 2022. As you will remember, we received the compact funding for years 1 through 3. With this in mind, the governor has announced some good news for the CSU. Regarding year 4 of the compact, which was not funded last year, out of the agreed $252.3 million, the governor proposed to allocate to the CSU $100.9 million of permanent funding. Regarding year 5, which would be this year, the governor proposed the full amount of the compact at $264.8 million. The full funding for year 5, which is next year. Combined, last year with next year, partial funding for year 4 and full funding for year 5 of the compact amount to a $365.7 million permanent allocation. That's really good news. Against this permanent allocation, we factor in this year's permanent cut of $143.8 million from the CSU's state base budget. Therefore, with the governor's proposed new funding for next year, 2026-27, the net is about a 2.2 increase in the CSU budget, or $221.9 million over the 2-year period. You may recall that the CSU took a nearly $144 million one-time loan to fund bonuses for faculty and staff. And the governor has proposed deferring repayment of that loan to 26-27. Another piece of good news. We don't have to pay the loan back this year. It'll be deferred for 26-27. We are grateful that the governor has initiated this budget process by honoring portions of the compact. Providing partial permanent funding for year 4, permanent is key, and full funding, full permanent funding for year 5. Something to keep in mind, this budget allocation will obviously come with a variety of caveats, but we are deeply appreciative that this proposal starts out without any additional cuts and the prospect of a base increase. This is a momentous moment for the CSU. So while the governor's proposal may offer some preliminary reassurances for us, we must now focus on a basic truth. The value and contribution of the CSU to California's economy must equate to an appropriate level of funding. It is clear that our mission is fueled by your work, which directly ensures that our students continue to receive the education they deserve in order to succeed and positively impact our region with their leadership. Therefore, it is imperative we advocate for this budget in order to secure student success funds, absolutely. But better yet, in order to better salaries for staff and salary. Allow me to present our current strategy in protecting our financial future now. First, there are elements of this landscape entirely beyond our control. State revenue cycles and budget deficits, the governor's proposal in the legislature's budget negotiations, which are happening now, system-level decisions on union contracts and recurring salary increases, statewide debt obligations that limit budget flexibility. However, in the areas in which we do have control, we are all taking careful, measured, and thoughtful steps. As many of you know, we plan to use up to $3.2 million in one-time reserves this fiscal year to close the shortfall in our budget. Through more accurate forecasting of both revenue and expenses, we now anticipate staying within that planned range. This did not happen by accident. It came about through precise and methodical work across the university over the past year together, you and I together, all of us together. We strengthened our financial processes to make them more efficient and more impactful. We instituted monthly budget check-ins and reconciliations across all divisions. We have reimagined how carry-forward funds should be used by each division, ensuring that every dollar spent is evaluated against the correct source of funds. And before any general fund dollars are used, we now ask, are those permanent expenses or one-time in nature? Is there a trust account eligible to cover this expense? Is this the most appropriate funding source? For years, Fresno State defaulted to general funds first. Today, we are turning that model on its head. We are reviewing all expenditures to maximize the resources we do have. Also, since February, we have reduced the number of management positions by nearly 10%, generating approximately $2 million in ongoing savings. This was a difficult but necessary decision, one that brings our administrative structure into closer alignment with our financial reality while maintaining our academic mission fully on. In addition, we are eliminating leased mobile trailers, several of which you've seen removed from campus, reducing our audited vehicle fleet by nearly 50, saving thousands of dollars in insurance and maintenance costs each year. And we are reviewing all operational contracts with renewed scrutiny for the benefit of Fresno State. These steps strengthen our financial core and help ensure that we are maximizing efficiency in service of our students, our staff, and faculty. I'm proud of what we have so far accomplished together, and I am grateful for the collective sacrifice and focus that made this progress possible. And while our current fiscal year is on track, we must now turn our attention to the coming fiscal year. The mandate to us is clear. We must achieve a structurally balanced budget. The steps we are taking today will, and I am certain of that, stabilize our future. With the possibility of increased funding from the governor, we must now turn our attention to advocating to our elected officials for proper funding for the CSU. It is essential that we be united in stating the value and worth of our graduates to the economy of the Central Valley and California. Indeed, Fresno State plays a crucial role in training an immense regional workforce, growing industries with global significance, and generating a profound agricultural yield that produces 25% of our nation's food. We must make apparent to our governing officials the impact of the 6,000 plus graduates we send into the world each year, and the urgency of sustained investment in the California State University as a necessary public good. Thanks to your request specifically, I am pleased to share the launch of CSU Voices, a new system-wide e-advocacy initiative designed by the Chancellor's Office to mobilize the collective power of the entire CSU community. CSU Voices brings together students, alumni, faculty, staff, and supporters across all 22 CSU campuses to unify and amplify our voices as a targeted campaign over issues that matter most. Through this platform, those who sign up will receive timely updates and opportunities to advocate through email and text on issues that directly affect student, faculty, and staff success. These include California state budget, yes, they do, as well as critical federal programs such as Pell Grants and others that support access and affordability. Our ask is really simple, very clear, yet extremely powerful. I encourage you to help amplify this effort by inviting your campus communities, including students, faculty, staff, alumni, and local supporters who are not Fresno State alumni, because sooner or later, within 1 or 2 degrees, we are all Fresno State. The more we advocate, the more we'll secure funding for appropriate salaries for our staff and faculty. Advocacy is most effective when it is broad, informed, united, and in numbers significant enough to leverage sustained change. To learn more, to sign up, please visit calstate.edu/CSU Voices. In concert, Fresno State is re-envisioning advocacy, one that aligns with our academic strength as a premier public university. This past semester, we launched the Public Voices Project, a faculty-led initiative designed to support scholars in translating their research and lived expertise into op-eds and public commentary for broader audiences. This work is being thoughtfully guided by 2 faculty leaders who have been essential thought partners in shaping the project. I want to thank Dr. Larissa Mercado Lopez and Professor Jim Boren for their leadership and commitment to elevating faculty voices. In support of the same goal, we also launched a public-facing faculty and staff expert directory, making it easier for journalists, policymakers, and community leaders to connect directly with Fresno State faculty and staff experts. At the start of the semester, we had 115 faculty and staff opt in to be featured as experts willing to engage in public dialogue. This directory ensures that Fresno State scholars are part of local, national, or international conversations while influencing decision-making processes that directly impact our communities. I want to thank Lisa Bell, Victoria Cisneros Soto, and Dr. Ezra Hasham for their work in bringing this important resource to life. For those who are interested in being included in the experts directory, please reach out to our marketing and communications team. At the campus level, we are also strengthening our advocacy capacity. On February 2, we will welcome Jason Hinson, our new Executive Director of Government Relations, who will lead Fresno State's advocacy efforts with renewed focus and energy. Jason Hinson is a seasoned government relations expert with more than 20 years of experience at the local, state, and federal levels. Most recently, he served as Regional Director of Government Affairs and Corporate Communications for Starbucks, leading major legislative efforts across the western United States from Utah to California, in addition to advising executive leadership. Earlier in his career, he played a key role in Gavin Newsom's successful San Francisco campaign for mayor and later served as Director of Government Affairs and Policy for the city and county of San Francisco, overseeing major infrastructure initiatives and securing $280 million in voter-approved funding. Together, through CSU Voices, the Public Voices Project, and strategic collective engagement, we will continue advocating for the resources, the recognition, and the public trust that your work, our students, and our region deserve. Despite challenges, we still have much to celebrate. Last fall, we welcomed the WASC accreditation team to campus as part of our thematic pathway for reaffirmation. And I'm proud to share that the report was not only positive, but affirming of essential aspects of who we are. The WASC team clearly recognized Fresno State as the flagship of the Valley. They saw what this institution means to our students, to our region, and to the families who depend on us as a pathway to opportunity and mobility. And that recognition belongs to you. It is the result of the day in, day out work of every person in this room and of colleagues across our campus whose work proves their deep commitment to our mission and to our students and to our region. I want to extend my deepest thanks to those who participated in this successful visit. Huge thanks to our WASC steering committee, to Provost Fu, to Vice Provost Hassan, and to Dr. Freilich. They coordinated efforts across the campus and guided us through this complex process. I want to also take this opportunity to thank Dr. Xuanyin Fu. Our provost is a colleague whom I admire greatly and from whom I have learned much. He has decided to retire, and this will be his last faculty and staff assembly as provost. Through tough times and good times, Dr. Fu has stood by my side with his loyalty. He is a confidant who works tirelessly. He leads with the best intentions in mind. We will have a proper goodbye party for him, but I would like you all to please give him a round of applause right now. Thank you for your legacy, Provost Fu. Now let's look ahead at initiatives that will further strengthen our bright future. Last fall, Fresno State publicly launched Lead with Pride, the most ambitious philanthropic campaign in our university's history. At its heart, this campaign is about belief. Belief in our students, belief in this university, and belief in the valley we serve. During a time of great uncertainty, while SNAP benefits were unavailable, our philanthropic partners came through to support our students through the Amendola Student Cupboard. With nearly 540,000 total visits and counting, the Amendola Student Cupboard is instrumental to student success. So far this academic year, community partners have contributed more than $85,000 to the Amendola Student Cupboard through gifts, in-kind donations, and food drives. This includes over $55,000 from the Fresno District's Fair's Feel the Need campaign, led by Foundation Board of Governor Debbie Nalchaljian-Cohen. Support from Nutrient Ag Solutions and OK Produce during the SNAP pause, and meaningful gifts from the Radin Foundation and BAPS charities. A special thank you to Dr. Tushar Patel and Dr. Veena Howard for their support in storing the gift from the temple, from members of BAPS Hindu Temple. Please give Dr. Howard, who is here, a round of applause. These gifts build on the enduring generosity of Lou and Jane Amendola, whose $1.5 million endowment established in 2021, continues to sustain and strengthen this work. Thank you to Michael Bolin and the team he leads for your impact. Michael, are you here? All right, give him a round of applause nonetheless, please. Indeed, this is what philanthropy looks like at Fresno State. It is not distant. It is direct and impactful. It is deeply human. I want to thank Vice President Crook and the University Advancement Team for stewarding these relationships with care and with integrity. And I want to thank all of our philanthropic partners who continue to invest in the well-being and success of our students and our institution and our valley. Allow me to give you one more example of our excellence in action. This last year marked the 25th anniversary of the Downing Planetarium, a wonderful space that welcomes up to 20,000 visitors annually as one of only 4 planetariums in the entire region and a critical resource for science education in the valley. At the heart of this story is Dr. Stephen White, a professor of physics and founding director of the planetarium. What began as a small, portable planetarium for local school visits grew into a full-scale facility that supports Fresno State astronomy courses, hosts thousands of K-12 field trips, and inspires lifelong curiosity about the night sky. What this story represents is simple and profound. It shows how philanthropic partners support faculty who dream big. It shows how we steward philanthropic gifts with care, and it shows how we instill wonder and inspire the next generation of bright bulldogs. I'd like to share a sneak peek of a short film our team produced to celebrate the Downing Planetarium's 25 years. Please play the video.
Astronomy is the oldest science. It's the first thing that people noticed. The sky is not like the Earth, and they thought it was 2 different things. In fact, at one time, the Greeks thought that everything in the sky had to be made out of something that was not found on Earth, and they called it quintessence. But then, with a little bit of observation, you notice patterns that repeat, like how the sun comes up, how the moon comes up, how the seasons repeat, all these things. You could tell time from the stars, you can find directions. So all these practical reasons to understand the sky. And it gave people one more thing to think about, is like, what is really out there? That's why it makes it easy to have a planetarium. It's basically a place of wonder where you can teach people about the sky, actually all sorts of things. There's no limit to what we can put on that dome. And if you get tired of all that, you can always go back to the stars. Turn on the star projector and see the night sky from anywhere on Earth at any time of night.
That seems like something that you at least are not going to get tired of.
No. When I went to college, I majored in physics and ended up at UC Davis and came straight to Fresno State after that. That was fall of 1994. Part of the need here at that time was somebody to teach astronomy. And then what happened was kind of just a fluke. At Kansas State University, they had a planetarium. They wanted to get rid of it. Our chair of the physics department, his name was Brant Kehoe, got on the phone and negotiated with them and came to the agreement if we paid $15,000, we could have all their stuff. A star projector, the seats, a dome, and things like that. Simultaneously, this is amazing how it all turns out, the development office had contacted the Downing family, and they were interested in setting up a scholarship, and Steve Schmeiser pitched the idea of the planetarium. And so they made a large donation to the university, and so now we have this project. And Brant Kehoe called around to the other CSUs, and everybody he talked to said, no, absolutely don't do it. It'll be nothing but a nuisance. And then he came out and told me, everybody says it'll be nothing but a nuisance. And I just kind of remembered back to Nevada and growing up, and I knew that it would be successful. And going into it, I had that feeling. And essentially from then, they asked me if I'd like to be the director. I'd have to say, not very many people have had the fortunate opportunity to design and build and then operate and then improve a facility like this, and stuck with it for 25 years now. And now I'm retired. I've absolutely loved doing this. It's been very rewarding. Probably even more rewarding than if I had a big stack of publications or something. I think we did good, and we made a difference in Fresno and at the university too.
Oh my gosh.
People that took my class actually are teachers. People that came here as children are grown up and bring their kids. And now I want it to keep running and doing good, and we're on track to continue for the next 25 years.
Dr. White, are you here, Dr. White? There he is. Please give him a round of applause. That's great. Thank you, Dr. White, for all you've done. Incredible, phenomenal legacy. I encourage you to watch the full movie when you have time. And I want to give a shout out to Laura Nickerson and her team. What a phenomenal group of individuals who get together and are able to produce such high quality videos. So thank you for that. This video really captures our curiosity, imagination, and can-do spirit at Fresno State. Please allow me to conclude. As we begin this semester, I want to leave you with the reassurance that we will navigate these times with resolve and focus. We are living in a moment full of challenges from all sides. Moving forward, I am fully focused on highlighting the work you all do for the sake of graduating more than 6,000 bright students each year. The success of Fresno State does not happen by accident. This success happens because you, our staff and faculty, choose every day to invest your talent, your energy, and your belief in this institution, making us the flagship of the Valley in action. I'd like to leave you with one final request. Log on to calstate.edu/CSU Voices to become more informed and to advocate for appropriate funding for the CSU to the legislature, who must now evaluate and decide upon the governor's proposed budget. With your efforts, we'll be able to secure the modest growth. We won't lose the momentum that the governor proposed, and we'll secure those fundings for student success, for staff and faculty salaries. It is essential that we come together as a campus. Your voices are essential to conveying the brilliance of our campus community and our graduates in advancing our Valley. With that, thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for the care that you bring. Thank you for believing, especially in uncertain times, in your inherent power to transform lives. You are the pride of the Valley. Go Dogs. I'll be glad to answer any of your questions. I have the cabinet here with me as well. I want to thank the cabinet for all the support and the energy they give me on a daily basis. There are a lot of challenges on my plate, but they are the ones who fill my plate each and every day along with all of you. So please give them a round of applause. You're moderate. Oh, there's a microphone here, and there's a microphone over there as well. Do we have any questions from online? No? No one sent questions before? While we think about that, I do want to sort of like do a debrief of the 26-minute presentation that I made for you today. I know it was a bit long, and I apologize for that. But what I want to leave you today is one thing. The governor has proposed growth for the CSU for the first time in some years. This is huge news. $100 million from year 4. At the end, $265 million from year 5. Together is $265.9 million for this coming year alone. It's about a $2.2 million growth once you factor in the $144 million that was taken from us last year. This is momentous because from this point on, the legislature is going to negotiate with the governor at each and every step. If I go to Sacramento, I will go to Sacramento in March. And I'm going to go to Sacramento with President Saleh, she's going to be with me, and with our new government relations person, and with a donor, a major donor, a major a person from the region, an industry partner. If I go there, they're going to say, yeah, it's expected that you be here. But if I go there and 2,000 of you send a message, what are they going to say? Here's the guy with 2,000 people behind him. It's going to be a completely different engagement with them. So the main message that I want to send out to you today is that advocate, sign up, CSU Voices, / advocacy, yeah? Sign up for that, because it is your strength that's going to carry us through. If we don't do that, there is a possibility that we will lose that 2.2% and other things might happen. And that 2.2% is directly tied, and I said it over and over in the speech, to student success. We've always highlighted that. But more importantly, to the work that you all do to make sure that that student success goes through. Is staff and faculty salaries that are at stake for that 2.2% as well. Yes, please.
Good morning, Mr. President. I have 2 questions, if I may ask.
Please.
The first is, are the budget projections for the allocations for the CSU based upon it seems that there are 2 numbers out there. There's one that's coming from the governor's budget office, and then there are others coming from members of the legislature. And which baseline is the governor using to propose this allocation?
So I have Jeff here helping me. He is the whisperer of budgets, and I'm going to give it to you.
Hey everyone, Jeff
Thank
Blanks,
you.
I'm the University Budget Director. So to answer that question, so he's using his projections, which is the Department of Finance projections. Yeah, you're gonna see the LAO with their projections that are quite a bit different, and they use a variety of different sources and different kind of assumptions for those projections, but what you're seeing from the governor's office is really the Department of Finance with the governor's office. That's what's building his projections. And again, this will continue to firm up, as the president mentioned. This is the first step, and so this will firm up as we get to the May revise and then ultimately the legislature adopting. So a lot more information to come, but this is his projection essentially.
Thank you. My second question is a question that's been asked of me by several of my colleagues, and I also have the same question, so I thought I would just come ask for all of us. And that is about the growing disparity between administrator faculties, such as the presidents, and the faculty. And I read recently that there was a big compensation increase given to presidents, and of course I know all the presidents work very hard, and that there's value in that compensation, but I think we as faculty would like to be similarly valued. And how will the university, I know we're in different bargaining units, but what will the university do to help close that gap in terms of advocacy? Thank you.
Yeah, that is my main message to all of you today. My main message has been that we need to advocate so that I have the funds and the resources necessary to do something about staff, first staff, and then faculty salaries. I understand the frustration behind the executive compensation that came through. I completely get it. The CSU is establishing this notion that we will be the employer of choice. We have lost 15 presidents in the past 5 years. And they're trying to say, this is what we'll do, but we'll leverage that in order to say, just like you were able to establish compensation for presidents, we now have to do it with staff, and we now have to do it with faculty. We'll be able to do that if that proposed budget goes through. And that's why it's so crucial that it go through. Right now, I wish I could give everyone a raise. Don't have the resources. We don't have the resources. Long Beach doesn't have the resources. With this 2.2 growth that we see on the table, we closed the gap from the $144 million cut that we endured last year, and we actually grow moving forward together. That growth has to be very intentional. Do we grow, or do we then say we have faculty and staff who need compensation that is appropriate? I don't want to lose my staff to K-12, to community colleges, to the hospitals, to everyone else who comes and say, we'll pay you 30% more. And then what do I say? Do we have the money? We don't. So within that, it is my intention to be as intentional as possible with every penny accounted for and say, where are all of our resources so that we can make sure that the base is secure. And that base, you heard it over and over in my speech. We graduate over 6,000 students. Do they graduate just like that automatically? No. They graduate because all of you put in the work. All of you, day in and day out, made sure that that WASC accreditation was almost flawless, day in and day out. So based on that work, specific work that you all represent, that produces the 6,000 graduates, what am I saying? I'm going back to the legislature, I'm going back to the advocacy front and saying, I need the resources necessary to pay my staff and my faculty on a daily basis in order to produce the 6,000 graduates that power the economy of the Central Valley. It's a really simple formula. They do the work, we produce 6,000 students, 80% stay in the region, and they power the economy of the Central Valley and more. So that's my advocacy. On a daily basis, I do that. I do that on every single level. Yes, please. Oh, sorry, I think you were next, Belinda. Go ahead, Belinda.
So my question is regarding the budget, and you talked about really taking a look at how we're spending on campus and restructuring some of the things. For myself included, and I'm sure a lot of others, and I have feel the same way, is a lot of the things that we've learned about budget and how to process and pay things or purchase things, right, is based off of somebody who taught us before us.
Yes.
Who was in that same position. We don't really have a guide.
Yes.
On campus that says, hey, here are some things to consider. HR does an amazing job, by the way, of training. So, and maybe this is something that we can partner with them in getting some
Sure.
type of training
Sure.
so that we can have some type of guide, because we've always done.
That's right.
And we need to find a new way to look at things. And so I guess it's more of a comment than a question, but I would like to see that we have some way, some structure in place when we're looking at revamping the way that we run our offices when it regards to budget, so that we can better support the larger initiative on campus and being able to grow our funds and our reserves on campus.
Let me say a few things to respond to your great comment. There's a May revise that's coming up in May. And that May revise reproposes the budget to California, to the legislature. It reproposes it. So January, he proposes the budget, the governor. May comes along, he reproposes that budget. The May revise is going to make or break that 2%. So that's one of the thoughts that came to me while you were speaking now. The other thing that came to me is the following. We are too used to the structure of the structure. It's been going on like this all this time, and it's going to go on like this all this time as well. I was trained with Derrida. Some of you might know him, and I'm not just dropping names. He was actually my professor. And what Derrida says is the following. There's always a structurality of the structure. There's always a structure being built that's in place for certain interest to move on. I am trained to look at structures and to tear them down. Within my own life, I have torn down many structures that were imposed upon me. So, to your point, Belinda, we need to look at the structure of how budget is being allocated and spent, which is what I presented to you today. What are these questions? Mary Lou, nice to see you. Which is what I showed you today, right? What other funds do we have prior to going to the general fund? The general fund is sort of like an all-use type of fund, right? We can use that for like whatever. We don't want to use that for whatever. We want to be very specific with that because at the end of the day, if the general fund is being spent with permanent stuff, that could be spent by trust accounts. We save the general fund, and then we are able to say, by the way, we can give you this raise. By the way, we can save this other position. By the way, we can promote this other initiative. So what we're doing right now is establishing exactly that. What I'm hearing you say to me is that this needs to trickle down. It needs to flow down to people who actually manage the budget on an everyday basis. And that's a great insight. Thank you. Yes, Dr. Corral.
Good morning, Amber Crowell, Professor of Sociology. I know you and Provost Fu and many others know that the concerns about indirect cost recovery have been longstanding, so I really appreciate that the audit was requested and clarified those concerns. Because as you know, faculty have brought in more research dollars than ever, and we've felt very under-supported, along with the staff we work with, in doing our research. So what I'd like to know now is what is the plan to address those challenges and how will faculty be engaged?
Thank you, Dr. Corral, for that question. Since I became president, I have been hearing about the indirect costs over and over and over and over. And I'll give you just a brief example, just a brief thought about what this is. The Foundation of Fresno State is an independent 50c3 that was exclusively created for the benefit of Fresno State. Independent, created for the benefit of Fresno State. The foundation manages the endowment of the university, which is primarily the endowment that comes through the donations from fundraising. That's about $250 million. Aside from that, the foundation also manages all of the monies that the grants generate, which is what you're alluding to, the indirects. When you get a grant, the grant has specific stipulations that say you must spend these monies in the following ways, which means that these monies stipulate a return to the university in very specific ways. Right? So what are we doing about that right now? We have 46 recommendations from the auditor of the CSU. This was not an audit, it was a review. These 46 recommendations, we are in dialogue right now with the foundation on implementing a clear process through which it's formulaic. We have a $5 million grant, therefore the money comes here, the money goes there, it's distributed at this rate, at this time of the year. That's it, that's all we need. So we are working on a very basic process that says the money is this, the indirect will be this percentage, and therefore it will be distributed in this date. That's the ultimate goal right there. Right now, Nicole Lane, Brady, and Hawk are helping me together build a timeline in which these 46 recommendations will be implemented so that ultimately we will have direct, clear transparency between the university and the foundation. These people, again, are volunteers who are giving of their time. They have invested heavily in Fresno State. We thank them for their work. At the end, though, we need to work together. We have certain needs at Fresno State, and at the end, we're going to move forward with a formula that is going to work for the university because they were created for the institution ultimately. Yes, please.
Good morning, Tony Lasonko from the Learning Center. You presented to us numbers about proposed funding for the entire CSU system. Do you think that Fresno State's currently getting its fair share of CSU funding? And if not, what needs to happen for us to get our fair share?
So, Tony, thank you for that question. On a regular basis, we receive about 5% of the CSU's funding. As all of you know, I'm the 8th of 8. Therefore, I grew up in an environment in which I had 5 sisters, 2 brothers, and in order to get attention, I had to grow up in a pretty dynamic environment to make my voice hear pretty loudly. And Mariana, of course, knows what that means. Do we have enough allocation from the CSU? I'm working on that. I'm working on that. And I'm working on that on a daily basis. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Yes, please.
Good morning, Rep. Billen from the Department of Child and Family Science. Sorry to disappoint you. I don't have a question about funding or budgets, but it's a joke. But over the break, we saw an email from the Chancellor's office about the new strategic plan. Overall, I'm wondering about any points of tension you've been able to identify in the new CSU Forward compared to our campus strategic plan. From my point of view, I still haven't had a chance to talk to any faculty about this, but where I'm seeing concerns is where I see words like, I can't remember, cross-campus access and talent, flexible talent deployment, and what I'm seeing and hearing in my mind is capacity squeeze on the faculty. So I'm wondering if you can address that at all, or if you're working on...
Tell me more about capacity squeeze on the faculty. What does that mean?
Just the concern, well, the idea that, so our campus seems to be doing really well with enrollment, whereas other campuses are not. And so what we're seeing, or what I'm understanding about what's happening at these other campuses is the possibility of being pulled into compensating for where there are struggles at different campuses.
No. So the strategic plan for the CSU Forward primarily focuses on graduating students who will go into the workforce and then earn a salary that is competitive in relationship to students who never went to college and have a high school degree. Like, that's the core of all of it. So within that, then, we are completely fine. Every single major, almost every single major, I'm gonna say that, I'm gonna look at the provost, is able to say within 5 years, these graduates are earning this much compared to their high school peers who graduated. So the CSU Forward also establishes that if we do have low enrolled classes in some majors, and I'll take my own home department, right, for example, French or the other languages that are not fully enrolled like Spanish used to be in the past, right? If we have a class with French with 4 people in it, can we triangulate with other CSUs who are in the same situation so that we can then have a class of 15 or 20 students and then use the online platform to then secure that enrollment? So it does not mean that a faculty member is going to be asked to now all of a sudden do X, Y, and Z in addition to their duties. It means that the faculty member will be asked to possibly triangulate with other institutions that will be able then to come to the foreground and say, we will secure these disciplines because we want these disciplines. We don't want to just say, they're going away at these institutions moving forward. Yeah, thank you for that question. Okay, with that, I want to leave you with the core of the speech today. You need to advocate. 2.2% is on the table, and that 2.2% fuels student success, and it fuels staff and faculty salaries, which in turn produce more than 6,000 graduates, which power the economy of the Central Valley and California. With that, go Dogs.